Hey everyone, John Muhammad, loan officer and branch manager here at Neighborhood Loans in Grand Prairie, Texas. Welcome to my second episode of Talking Mortgages with John Muhammad. I have two guests here with me, Mr. Daniel Ramirez with eXp Realty and Mr. Dominique Long. He's also a loan officer here at Neighborhood Loans in Grand Prairie, Texas. Thank y'all for joining me today. Hey. It's always good to be with you
Thanks
guys.
For having us.
Excellent. I want to start off with an introduction. Daniel, as I mentioned, you're a realtor here in the great state of Texas. Where do you do real estate at? How long have you been in real estate? How'd you get into it?
So I've been going to be 7 years in January. I've been mainly focused on Dallas-Fort Worth area. However, I do have partners spread out throughout the nation and other countries as well. So anybody, honestly, I can pretty much service anywhere. Now, I personally focus in Dallas-Fort Worth area. And pretty much what got me into real estate, I was 20 years old and, didn't know what I wanted to do, was going to college and had a buddy that got into it and he's been my mentor ever since, so those have been feeding me books and, giving me things to read into and, fast forward 7 years later, here I am now, so. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. I've watched your progression, your success. Tell me about your first deal that you got. How long did it take you to get it? How'd it go?
Man, it took me about 7 months to close my first deal. And, but you know what, I was a fly on the wall up until those 7 months, every single, when I first started, it was just ask a lot of questions, right? Coming to the most successful people I knew and like, hey, man, what, how'd you start, What was your first year like compared to now, right? And that's what kept me going and this and that. But my first deal actually came from a friend from high school that actually got referred to from my older brother. My older brother, caught that deal happening. He's like, hey, talk to my brother, this and that, to, eventually I ended up getting that listing sold. Yeah. It was a listing and, that the market was just starting to, pick up. So, it was actually is so smooth that I really didn't learn anything from it, So,
but it came.
Yeah, it came. I'm grateful for it.
It takes perseverance, and so again, I'm just really proud of your growth and what you've done, so far in these 7 years. So I know what the next 7 are going to look like.
Yeah.
Dom, tell us a little bit about yourself. I've had the pleasure of working with you for a few years now, but tell me about how you got into mortgages and what do you see going on in the market?
For sure. So, I guess if you asked me, when I was 16, 17 years old, if I would be in mortgages, the answer would probably be no. But I got into it through insurance. So I got out of school and was fortunate enough to get a job at Goosehead Insurance. And, just prospecting, out meeting new people. Obviously I run across you. And then, you kind of talked me into, doing mortgages. And, once I got a little bit of taste of it and, seeing the benefits of being able to help people or whatnot, I just dived in. Next thing you know, I'm quitting Goosehead and working with you, and it's been, one of the best decisions I've made so far. Yeah. But got into, lending and loving it. The market right now is a little crazy, but, not going to let it stop me. We're still out trying to service people, help people out, help people get into homes. But
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Well, I saw you take a deep breath. And sometime in this market right now, you got to take a deep breath. Oh, yeah. Kind of segueing off of that, Daniel, what do you see in the market? How's real estate been in the last 6 months for you?
Well, it's what they say, that there's opportunity in any market, right? And, if you take a glance at where we are now, everyone's kind of screaming, with Chicken Little, this and, sky's falling, this and that, right? And you kind of hear two different perspectives from like the industry, right? You hear that message and this fear mongering that's happening through the news and the media. And then if you look at the bright side, right, we just came from a market where you're happy to get whatever house you happen to be in, right? Offering 20, 30K above it, not getting any repairs done. Like, hey, whatever house you get, just be happy you got that house, right?
Yeah.
But now we're in a market, there's more options, right? Sellers you're able to negotiate more with sellers, right? Get your closing costs paid for. And, and although interest rates are kind of, getting higher, right? We're just, the last 7 years have been historically low. We've never seen those rates before, right? Yeah. And I'm sure you can attest for this. Like, the rates that we are now, they're not even historically high, Yeah. It's
what's funny is the current rate environment is what it was in 2002 when I got in the mortgage business. I remember selling 30-year fix, and it was 7.25. That was the rate in the winter of 2002 when I got in the mortgage business, and that was like the lowest rates had ever been. So the rates are up a little bit, but from my opinion, it is now a buyer's market. Yep. Dom, you want to kind of speak to that, the difference between a buyer's market and a seller's market?
For sure. So, you hit it right on the head. It is a buyer's market right now. And kind of speaking to what Danny was talking about, we're seeing a lot more seller concessions now. We're seeing, negotiations as far as the contract price. Homes are on the market a lot longer. So in that type of environment, I would call that a buyer's market because, all those things I mentioned kind of favor the buyers. And, 6-7 months ago, we were definitely in a seller's market. And It was like the complete opposite. You had to have your money together. You had to be able to, bid over the contract price. And that was definitely a seller's market because the sellers were, getting the majority of the benefit. Mm-hmm. But things are a buyer's market now. I like to tell buyers, I'm big in the stock market. And one thing they talk about in the stock market is buying into fear. That's when you get the best return on investment. When everybody else is scared to buy, you go ahead and you step in there and you buy the stock while it's crashing. Next thing you know, when it comes back up, you made a whole lot of money. Same thing in real estate. Right now in the news, everybody's, interest rates are so high, don't buy anything. But if you buy now, like you said,
I say marry the house, date the rate, divorce the landlord.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I absolutely believe that. I always tell the story that, I bought a house in 2018. The rate was maybe near 6%, 5.875, I believe was the rate. But I've refinanced twice. I don't want to mention how low my interest rate is right now. I don't want anybody, but it's very low. But I know that there aren't too many situations that a landlord goes down on rent.
Yep.
But my mortgage payment has went down twice since 2018. So that speaks to to just getting in the market. Like you said, you got to get into something. Landlords, it's never going to get better. It's never going to get better.
That's what they say. You're never going to buy at its lowest, and you're never going to sell at its highest, right?
Yes.
People ask, is it the right time to buy? It's kind of what we all talked about, right? There's more inventory. Negotiations are able to happen more. And honestly, another thing, to combat high interest rates, because you're able to buy down these rates, right?
Yes.
And so with these negotiations are happening, these price drops and price reductions, houses in the market longer, you can negotiate to sell it, to pay concessions to go towards that rate,
there
right?
You go. Yes.
And, but it's one of those things too that, where whatever the rate is now, right, you lock in, prices are dropping because of that as well. So I say next year the rates drop. Hey, well, you're able to refinance, right? Yes. Let's say rates go up. Well, perfect. You locked in at a lower rate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you can refinance. There's just so many different ways that you can refinance. So one example, maybe you did an FHA loan. 86% of Americans who buy use. The stat is 67% of Americans use FHA their first time. But you have FHA and you have conventional. So maybe if you started out with FHA, you're now going to a conventional loan because you've gained equity or you've paid your mortgage down. That's one option. Second option, if you do have FHA, you can do what's called a streamlined refinance, not have to prove income, don't have to get a new appraisal. As long as we're lowering the rate and there's a benefit, we can refinance you. And then if you're a veteran, for a VA loan can be done, an interest rate reduction loan can be done, and they don't have to prove anything. It is phenomenal. It is the time to get in and buy. Plan on refinancing in the next 2 years.
And I think as far as buying a home, it's more of whenever you're ready, right? Whenever the client is ready. I had people in 2016, 2015 telling me, man, I'm gonna wait till the market crashes, this and that. When prices start going back down, and then what happened? Prices doubled, some tripled, right? It's
right,
I'm gonna wait till next year. I'm gonna wait till next year. But again, it's never gonna be a right time until you're ready, right?
Mm-hmm.
Until now, obviously, if you're looking for a short term type of purchase, and that's going to be risky in any market, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're in it for the long run and staying in it for a few years, we've seen that property values keep rising over the long term of things, So
yeah, absolutely. So both of y'all are a lot younger than me. I know I probably don't look that old, but certainly you guys both of you all utilize social media. I want to first ask you, Dominique, how are you utilizing social media to meet and help clients?
Well, me personally, man, I think social media is just so powerful. You know, the amount of people you can, touch on a daily basis. I mean, I know everybody's so concerned about their followers and how many people are actually following them, but people aren't liking it, but they are seeing it. So one thing, I try to stay consistent, putting out content every single day. I have a content day. I'll come here on Saturday and make all the content that I'm going to put out for the week, just to stay top of mind, to all my realtor partners, to all the clients who are looking to maybe, purchase or refinance. But I kind of use it as, just staying top of mind. As much as you post, everybody's on their phone 24/7. So if you're posting 24/7, they're seeing you 24/7, and that's just kind of how.
Well, I need to give you a shout out because your TikTok and your Instagram is phenomenal.
I appreciate
How
it,
do
man.
people follow you?
So you can follow me on all social media websites. It's just at Dominique Long _. Just search for it on Facebook, TikTok, YouTube. You can find me anywhere. And I love to help. If anybody has any questions on, equipment you'll need for TikTok or, algorithms, anything, feel free to shoot me a DM, as the young people say, and I'll respond as quickly as I can.
Yeah, man. Awesome. What about you, Daniel? What are you using? What are you doing with social media?
So it's just a way to stay in front of people, like Dom said, and just keep up with people, right? Keep up with certain life events, kind of, I'm always posting where I'm at, what I'm doing, right? And I like to, again, oppose from like the fear mongering that we hear from, getting the media and news and certain people, right? I'm more of the message I like to spread is more love and positivity, right? Growth. So just a lot of mindset stuff, right? Because I think that's just what kind of really boils down to a lot of people, right? Especially when we did hear talks about recession, right? I mean, no one's gonna come save you, right? I mean, no matter who's in office, no matter what happens economically, whatever, it's really up to us to, take the opportunity into our own hands, right? So just definitely, that's really what I use my social media for. I do need to do more of what Dom's doing, what you guys are doing. I got some in the plans for that, but really just stay in front of people, keep in touch with people. And then just sharing a positive message for people, So
yeah, good. Yeah, I'm learning. I'm using social media a lot more now. It's certainly a way to inform. I think we all look at social media as a way to gain information. And TikTok, I think, has been phenomenal for that. I get a lot of information from TikTok and YouTube.
So that's a good question then I have for you. So what would you say? Obviously, you're new to social media, as you're saying, but you're still able to be, wildly successful, probably most successful person sitting here. What would you say, was your keys to, a lot of young people use social media to get to their level?
Facebook has worked for me. My daughter my oldest daughter was always say, Dad, only old people on Facebook. But I don't believe that. But Facebook has been how I've been able to meet and reach a lot of people. It's going the step further of getting on TikTok, Instagram, podcasting, YouTube, right? Those are the things that I'm now exploring because YouTube is just I hate to say this, but my daughter had low antifreeze in her car, and she has a Tiguan, a VW. I opened up the hood, and I'm trying to figure out where it goes, and I don't want to look like I don't know how to put antifreeze in the car. YouTube, here it is. Here's the video. Here's how I found it, right? Hey, your antifreeze is in your car. You're all set. I look like a good dad. So everybody goes to YouTube to do things. And so I know that in order to reach more people, I need to be out on social media. So I'm learning as much as I can about it too.
John said, these hands don't know labor,
Yeah, I'm great with thinking. Manual labor is not my deal.
No, yeah, and social media, it's definitely a powerful tool, and definitely, I think it also be part of your demise as well, right? So I think every so often we got to kind of remove the junk, remove the, the just things we don't want to hear, right? But yeah, definitely if you use it for the right way, man, you can learn anything, right? We have this technology at the power of our hands. We're able to reach anyone, right?
Yep.
And then just like I said, whatever message you're putting out there, you can get people that connect with that message, and so.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's John. I want to ask you this. I guess both of you guys. Are there still any incentives for first-time home buyers?
Yeah, that is a great question. Yes, there are incentives, and I don't want to promise this to anyone, but I want to give a true scenario that happened last month. I had a client. He'd actually been looking for almost 2 years. He was looking 2 years ago, stopped looking, reached back out to me in August and said, hey, I want to buy a house. Things have changed in my situation. And so I got him a down payment assistance program through TDHCA, Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs. Got him a 4% grant, which covered the 3.5% required for the down payment. And his realtor was able to negotiate $10,000 of closing costs on his contract. He put $3,000 earnest money up, and he paid his option money. He got everything back at closing. This just happened last month.
Man, good for him.
He bought a house with nothing
That's wild.
other than an inspection, right? So there are down payment assistance programs out there that will cover just that, the 3.5% down or the 3% down. So those are still out there and available. Often they're forgiven. You don't have to repay them, if you keep it for 3 years or something like that. There are some banks out there that are doing some special programs that they're offering, but there are incentives for first-time home buyers. I'm going to, Dom and I laugh about it. There's no like, hey, I'm a first-time home buyer, everything's free, right? That's just, it's not realistic, okay? But there's help out there. They're going to have income limits, maybe even purchase price limits, or maybe restricted to certain locations. But the help is out there. If you're serious about buying, there's a way to do it.
Let me ask you this: for a lot of people that don't know about this, what is a USDA loan?
So USDA, I when I do home buyer presentations, I say, we think of USDA as steaks and chicken and fish and things like that, and it is the same entity, government entity, but USDA is going to be a loan for folks who want to live in a rural community, sort of outside of what we call here in DFW the Metroplex. So if you're wanting to live somewhere maybe like Red Oak, or if you go way out in maybe Forney or somewhere like that, those areas that kind of border the Metroplex, you can buy a house with 100% financing, meaning you don't have to make a down payment. You'll still have closing costs, but no down payment. So it's pretty neat.
Now, I think what I was surprised to see that I think Midlothian is considered USDA, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
But then Waxahachie wasn't, So
that's
I
true.
thought it'd be like the opposite way.
Because Midlothian is so close to Mansfield, you kind of think that, that would be that way. But
So I know the answer to this question, but I think this will be big for the people listening. Can you talk about the difference between closing costs and actual down payment? Because everybody hears that 100% financed and they think, oh, I don't need to bring anything. You said 100%.
Right. Well, I always use that old saying, if it was easy, if everybody would be doing it, right? Buying a home is not necessarily easy. If you're prepared, there's a way to do it. So your down payment is the deposit or the amount that you put down against the purchase price. Typically, that's 3.5%. So if you're buying a house that costs $300,000, you need $10,500 as a down payment. Then you have closing costs, which is in three areas. It's going to be your lender fees. It's what you pay folks like me, right, to do your loan. Then you have title company fees, because the title company performs services for you to protect that you're buying a home that no one else has liens against. They insure the loan. They search, they just do a lot of different work. And then you have what's called prepaids. Prepaids are things like buying your insurance for 1 year up front, opening up your escrow accounts, your prepaid interest. So there's these sort of prepaid items. I think of closing costs. I think that in today's market, you really have to be thinking about 3 to 4% of the purchase price of the home may be closing cost expenses. So you have your 3.5% plus, 3.5 to 4, fees. So that's typical in mortgage.
And another question I will have. So I know we're talking a lot about seller concessions. So what are the max seller concessions for the different type of loan products? Because as they're out there searching, you have FHA, conventional, or USDA. Talk about.
Yeah. So from a FHA perspective, I like to talk about that first because that's how most people get into a home. The seller can contribute up to 6% of the home's purchase price. That will more than cover your closing costs, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to more than cover. You could even maybe, if you could get 6%, you can utilize that to help you buy the interest rate down lower. Okay, so that's one tactic. If it's a conventional loan, it's going to be 3% seller contribution, 3% of the sales price of the home. If you're putting down less than 10%, okay, you do 10% or more, the seller can contribute 6%. Gotcha. Yeah. So,
I actually just learned that recently, but I think it was one of them that you can get up to like 9% in there if you do a certain amount of down payment.
I don't think so, but I'm gonna tell you this. Like, you know, I say it to my team all the time. I consider myself to be an expert at what I do, but I don't claim to know everything. Yeah. Right? Most programs will cap at 6%, and it would be very difficult to use 9% of seller contribution. So you got to kind of find that balance because you can never get cash back. Sometimes people think that, well, if I go get the seller to give me all this money, I'll use it for closing costs, then I'll get some money back so I can go buy furniture. It doesn't work like that. You cannot get back more than what you put in.
Now, let me ask you about this. Maybe you want to tell the people about the VA loans, kind of educate them a little bit more about that.
Man, we love helping veterans, right? I take a lot of pride in knowing about VA loans. I think that so often veterans hear that, you know, someone says, hey, I'm a veteran, and we just say thank you for your service. One of the things that we do here at Neighborhood Loans is that as a thank you for their service, we waive the lender fees, which is $1,500 as a thank you. But VA loans in general is 100% financing with no mortgage insurance. If you're 100% disabled, you don't pay a VA funding fee, which is an upfront cost when you do a VA loan. So, and maybe you don't even have to pay property taxes. For those of you who are 100% disabled, you don't have to pay property taxes in Texas.
So let's talk about that, though. How much of a price difference is that? Because
if you're not the two things, like if you're not paying mortgage insurance, which on a house that's $300,000, in most cases it's $250, $270, somewhere like that, $250 to $270. So now you don't have that expense. Then taxes, you could typically use 2% of the purchase price to estimate taxes. If you don't have a $500 or $600 tax bill each month, or you don't have to pay mortgage insurance, now you're adding $800 to $1,000 into your affordability. And so, yeah, I've put veterans that are 100% into homes that are $500,000-$600,000 and they don't have a ton of income. If you're a veteran, everyone who's a veteran should use their VA loan. There's no reason a veteran should not be in a home.
Yeah, no, and I've worked with quite a few veterans, and yeah, definitely that. You know, the ones that don't pay the taxes, man, that's a huge advantage on their side. You know, like it's
the best thing out there. I say it is the best mortgage program out there. I mean, it truly is. But again, it doesn't cover everything, and I hear a lot of veterans think that they don't have to pay any fees. I want to close today's conversation out on a personal note. Daniel, I know you do a lot of traveling. Like, what do you do for fun, man? How do you like to hang when you're not doing real estate? What you into?
Man, I'm so fully immersed into the industry. You know, it's like kind of hard to hang out with anyone that's not in the industry, right? Yeah. But I like to do all sorts of things. You know, I like to go out, try new food places, go travel. You know, you catch me at the gym most often, you know, when I'm in my routines, right?
Yeah. What's your favorite place outside of the country, outside of the U.S.?
Man, so crazy thing is I've recently got my citizenship, you know, so
congrats
my
on
residency and being able to like travel outside. So I've been to Mexico, you know, a few times, been to my home country. So I got a few places on my list that I'm looking to go to, you know. So, but I've done a lot of traveling inside the United States and go to a lot of business conventions and stuff. So honestly, I do get a lot of joy from what I do, you know. So aside from that, I mean, you know, playing video games and whatever, right? Try not to can't dwell all my time into all these little things that don't really serve me a purpose. But, I like to have my fun, explore, So,
awesome, man.
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
I'm with you. I've been blessed in my career. At one point, being in mortgage for 20 years, but for about 6 or 7 years, I did business development, and I traveled all over the country. Was lucky that I only went to big cities, so I know what that's like. It's a lot of fun eating in those cities and doing all that kind of stuff. Dom, what do you do outside of real estate?
Outside of real estate, I like videography. I like cameras and shooting different videos. I like doing that, and then obviously trying new food places. According to you, I guess I need to step up the places that I like. I'm pretty basic. I like your Cracker Barrels, your Chili's, and stuff like that. It's like, no, you need to go to Nick and Sam's, and you need to go here. But I'm pretty basic. I didn't forget where I came from, so I just eat at the places that I like growing up, and that's really it. And
Yeah. Well, I know you like to hoop. Dom likes to hoop, man. He's a 6'5", and man, we had a basketball team this summer. We had a neighborhood loans basketball team. My son, who's in college playing basketball right now, a couple of his friends and Dom's friends, we put together a crew, and we whooped everybody. Won the championship. Yeah. And I coached.
Okay.
Hey, shout out to those young guys because, man, I swear, you start to realize how old you are when you get out there with them. I thought I still had it. I played in college, thought I still had it. You get up there running up and down the court. So they won the championship for us. Shout out to your son. But it was fun to get out there with them.
Yeah.
Sure.
Now, what about yourself, John?
For me, I'm travel. I love traveling. It's I lived out of a suitcase for a long time, and so it's nothing for me to get on a plane and go somewhere. I love comedy. I'm a big comedy fan. I'm going to see Chris Rock this Friday. Which was a dream of mine, and I performed. I did live stand-up recently.
You get a comedian to your title.
I got to go see his next show. It was funny. I got to go see his next show.
I can add that to it. I bungee jumped some years ago, and I'll never do it again. But it was on my bucket list, and I did it, and I will never do it again. But the comedy thing, I don't know, man. We may try it, but certainly, man, I don't think anything brings me more joy than my family, right? And spending time with my wife and my children, and I've got my younger children, my boys. One in college playing basketball, one's 13, and he's playing basketball. So we spend a lot of time in the gym. I think he's at training right now, so it never stops. I've been on this basketball journey with them since probably 2006, just basketball every weekend. So those are the things that I'm into, man. And like you said, Daniel, it's just really, I live and die by mortgages and what I do. I'm very, very passionate about it. I never stop thinking about it. I'm up in the middle of the night thinking.
Putting deals together.
Yeah, trying to put it together. If I do this, if I do that, if I help this person, if I can talk, it's just like, it just never stops. But it brings great joy to me because you have to have passion.
Yeah.
If you're going to do real estate, you have to have passion. And it's tough. I mean, we are 100% commission, all three of us. And, as you mentioned, they say we're in a recession. So what does that mean, right? It's definitely tough, but I think it's a great time for people who are serious about buying a home to get in the game.
Yeah.
Remember, guys, buy into fear. While everybody's scared, it's your opportunity. Prices are dropping right now. When interest rates go down, you'll be in the best spot that you could possibly be in.
Now, John, I do want to ask you something because I know he's getting on to him about restaurants. So what are your favorite places to eat at?
Oh, man, I'm a filet guy. I love fillets. Albernaise is probably my favorite. I would put Ocean Prime up there. Ocean Prime here in Dallas is phenomenal. Nick and Sam's is phenomenal. Like I'm bougie, bro. Like, I'm bougie when it comes to food. I don't eat at Applebee's too often. You know what I'm saying? But I love a good dinner, man. But those are my spots. I'd say my top three.
I'm gonna give you out my top two. I've been into a lot of Asian cuisines lately, and I got a few Vietnamese friends that and they just put me onto so much. Like they're foodies, they eat everywhere. But I love me a good Korean barbecue. I love me a good hot pot. You know, so if y'all get a
Okay.
chance to check that out, yeah.
Hot pot. All right. Yeah, I think I've had Vietnamese. I like what is it called?
Pho?
Pho. Yeah, but I get the cold noodles and chicken, right? And I forget what it's called. Bun.
Bung, yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of my
Man,
favorites.
listen to y'all. I need to step outside my
Yeah,
comfort
man,
zone.
step out.
honestly,
It's
look.
not bad. Go try
I'm
some
from the
Indian
Midwest.
food.
We gotta say it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I've been eating it my whole life, but now I do need to kind of, experiment with some new places.
Experiment, yeah.
There's too many places in Dallas Fort Worth to,
To not enjoy it.
yeah.
Like,
Too many
yeah,
places.
I picked up a lot of weight eating out at these restaurants, but guys, thank you for being on my show today. I appreciate it. I know what I've seen so far, and I know you guys are going to do great things in the future. So I appreciate you being on. And that is it. Thank you guys for
Appreciate
attending,
y'all.
for listening. Have a great day.